as a result here, he does not have to deal with some of the other matters that the first trial judge had to deal with, so he's able to go through the day, each day of the week, and move this case along quickly, as he has during the course of this trial. So they're taking their lunch recess, gives us a chance to talk a little bit about what's been going on inside of that courtroom. We've been talking with Christine Grillo, but I want to bring in another guest who has been kind enough to join us today. Joining us from Fort Myers, Florida, Aaron O'Brien is a criminal defense attorney down there, former prosecutor also, noted criminal defense attorney. And Aaron, thank you for spending some time with us. We know you've also had a chance to be inside the courtroom during the course of some of this testimony. Let's start off with taking a look at what the defense has presented so far. And Christine and I were talking before, all of us having been prosecutors, Christine's still a prosecutor, and we talked about the fact that prosecutors' presentations are more often than not a storytelling, but the defense sometimes finds themselves in the position of just having to pick and choose and kick holes here and there. Understanding that, tell us what you think about what we've seen so far from the defense, the witnesses they've had on the stand.
Well, Jack, what defense attorney wouldn't want to have a witness like Ms. Crawford? I mean, this was a woman who was friends with Fern and friends with Don, probably closer to Fern, and what a warm personality she had and a bright smile, and she was certainly likable. And so that was very effective. She also created a conflict in the evidence by conflicting her sworn testimony with that of other witnesses. And so, as you know, the reasonable doubt could come from a conflict in the evidence, a lack of evidence, or from the evidence itself. And so this witness certainly served her purpose, created a conflict, and certainly was a likable person.
Certainly, I imagine you can say the same thing about Bill Painter, the witness followed up, who we've heard lives with Mary Alice Crawford, also described his relationships there. This is essentially, the prosecutor has indicated, it is a circumstantial case. How then significant do you think these types of witnesses can be, even though they have nothing to do with the alleged shooting itself? But how significant do you think they can be, given the fact that it is indeed a circumstantial case?
Well, I agree with you. They're more important in a case that's circumstantial because the jury is going to probably conclude that the crime happened at the Moringiello's home. And are the circumstances going to convince them beyond a reasonable doubt that it was Don Moringiello that committed the crime? So they're going to have to look at extraneous factors and testimony from friends who say, well, we were just on a trip and there was no arguing, and things of that nature are going to be even more important in a case like this than they would be in some other instance.
So, Christine, if you're the prosecutor here, and we saw Betsy Biffle ask a series of questions, but it's sort of a difficult position to be put in. I mean, you don't have witnesses you're confronting who are hardcore criminals with criminal records. They're looking for a deal from their testimony. They seemed like two very, as Aaron said, lovely people. Came into the courtroom, tell what they recalled as best they could. Does it go to the core of the allegations, the shooting death? No, but certainly some nibbling on the edges there.
Nibbling, but I have to disagree with Aaron. I truly do. I did not find them to be as effective as he was explaining. I saw them more as taking an opportunity to be on television to perhaps help their friend out. I think that the prosecutor made some points when she brought the letter to the witness to ask him, well, you were in contact with the defendant. You basically told him that you were going to testify on his behalf. That's something that a friend would do. So certainly no one was going to call you if you were going to say that they ever argued. And I think that that old doth protest too much, that they never argued. He never got mad. He never cursed. I mean, I know it's sunny Florida, but let's be realistic. I think they came across as a little too happy, a little too eager to say what a wonderful person the defendant was.
I think it's interesting. We see these situations where, and I know I do it myself, defense attorneys see witnesses through the eyes of defense attorneys, and prosecutors see witnesses through the eyes of prosecutors. It's always curious how that all works out. Well, we'll have more that we're going to be talking about with both of our guests, Christine and Aaron, and as we've indicated to you, they're in the midst of their lunch recess now inside the courtroom in Fort Myers, Florida. They will be back in about an hour to continue the live testimony. The prosecution has rested. The defense has begun their presentation. In the meantime, we're going to step away for a quick break. As we do, here's a look what's coming up later today on Catherine Cryer Live, a revealing look at the search for Natalie Holloway by specially trained CSI divers in Aruba. Plus, a psychic shares her theories about what happened to the missing Alabama